Coming up in today's episode, we chat with the wonderful actress that is Linda Sokhulu. Now, she's going to be sharing her views on grief. She's going to be teaching us quite a bit about the industry and also be sharing some memories of lost loved ones. And of course, she'll be touching on what it's like to get fired from a job. That's what's coming up. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Relebogile Mabotja Podcast. Follow us on the socials at Relebogile Pod and make sure you let us know who you want to see on the podcast. You can also comment down below because we like to have cool and interesting people on this show. Now today's guest that is joining us, I am exceptionally excited to have her in the show because she's such a prolific actress in multiple mediums of acting, but also somebody I've known for a really long time. Linda Sokhulu, how are you?
Hello.
You came.
I did.
I think people don't know what a shy, introverted person you are. Like, you barely do interviews. You barely are out there. I feel like you do interviews because if you have to promote something. Why did you say yes, girl?
I actually had the same question being answered a little earlier. I said it's because of you. I love what you're doing. I love your energy. I love your the way that you engage with people, and because it's you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just the team told me that you're like, oh, you've seen the show, you've seen clips as well. If you were to pick 3 people you'd want to see on the podcast, who would you want to see and why?
Like,
in future, who would you want to see?
Who? Wow.
Because it's better than me asking who's been your favorite so far.
Yes, I suppose. Yes, because everyone's story is so beautifully, intricately theirs.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily say that one person's, reality and story is better or no, they're also honest and they're also raw. I think that's one of the things that I picked up about this podcast is that everyone just is so just there to be a part of it and stuff. Can we, as we go, kind of like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so before the end of the episode,
before the end of the episode, it's like playing 30 seconds and you say, move on to the next question. And then like 2 seconds before, then you say this and this and this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to hold you to that of who you would like to see me interview. And it could be even an international wish list.
Hey.
So putting it out there.
Hey.
I was observing this on your wrist.
This one here? Or this one here?
This one there. Are those crystals with meanings?
Yes.
Please tell me.
I believe that the amethyst is one of my birthstones, and then the tourmaline is a protective stone. So it was lovely and beautifully crafted for me, and I enjoy wearing it.
What do you need protection from?
I think that self, in some ways.
Ooh, self?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I think that we can be our worst enemies.
Yeah.
Because when you start to interrogate what the outside world is doing to you, why are you being affected by the outside world?
Ma'am, please repeat that again. When you interrogate what the outside world is doing to you.
When, how did I phrase that? When you want to look at the outside world as the way that it's affecting you, what is it about you that is making the outside world affect you the way that it is affecting you?
I get you. As in like certain things that happen to you, why do they bother you in that way? So give me an example. Are you saying, for example, being bothered by what maybe people say about you on the internet, or being bothered by any voices outside of self?
Yeah, all the above.
Yeah.
All the above. The way that we take in what the outside world is doing to, or is doing, is quite reflective of what it is that we feel about ourselves.
Yo, I feel like I need to meditate on what you just said. No, and I'll tell you why, because we understand the concepts of like self-sabotage. We understand because we are in that era where people understand certain therapy terminology. They understand where the source of certain things are, which is like, well, I'm self-sabotaging because I don't truly believe I'm worth getting X, Y, and Z. But the fact that you looked at it from a protecting myself from myself, I feel like I need to meditate on that, because I also, now I'm asking myself, what do I need to protect myself from myself for? So if you were to ask yourself that question, where you're saying, I need to protect myself from self, what have you observed about you that you're like, Linda, you are the problem?
So we all have our own internal conversations about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. And so if you, like you were speaking about self-sabotaging, if you're only listening to yourself saying things that make you feel lesser, then you are hurting yourself. So if you don't take the time to listen to what it is that you're saying, that's a problem. So to keep something that keeps you in mindful serenity.
I got you.
That kind of helps you to balance yourself somehow, some way.
Have you always been like this? Because I'm realizing, you know, when you came into studio and we were getting ready to shoot, and I made the observation to say, your energy is so cool and calm, and unlike the energy of many people in our industry at the moment, because industry's tough. There are no budgets or low budgets. The projects are fewer, and you don't even look like you've aged a bit in years. And your response was, you know, the duck floating on water. But have you ever been this person who's spiritual, into crystals, who is mindful about protecting self from self? Because I feel like that's a part of you that I've never been really exposed to.
I think that as one evolves, one then finds different ways of bringing themselves towards themselves. So, like, one of the reasons, say, that I became an actor is because personally, I'm on a quest to find out, who am I? What am I? How do I see myself? And sometimes when I, in the space of feeling like I am devoid of understanding self, let me understand how human nature works. And that's what I consider to be acting, understanding the journey of human nature. Now, with every character that an actor plays, it is a version of yourself under different circumstances.
Yes.
And I love it when people say, oh, but you're just the same from one character to another. It's not the same. It's just my character, my being, is now being exposed to a set of circumstances that require me to be like that. Ooh. As opposed to I'm now doing an out-of-body experience where I now behave or act like a person who would. If I had to play Slay Queen, if I ever had to play a Slay Queen, I'd have a completely different interpretation.
I get you.
As to how and why I would behave in a particular way.
And I mean, we know many actors reflect on the fact that you have to go into learning about your character from a non-judgmental point of view, so that you don't close off parts of the character you should be getting to know. So even if your character is a villain, there are other parts to this person and how they became to be. So with what you've said about understanding human nature through acting, which character would you say helped you learn the most about yourself?
I don't know yet. But you asked so many. Your train of thought made me say, I was thinking so many things at the same time, because I was thinking about how, as a person, forgiving yourself, say, for example, is a very difficult thing to do, and something that you need to learn to do, depending on your personality. Some people, it's just water off a duck's back, and they're, oh, well, I did that, and life carries on, so what? And, for others, it's like, oh my gosh, how did I, and why did I? So the ability for a person to learn how to look within, question their choices, and then ultimately forgive themselves is something that is a learning. And so when it comes to, when you're asking about playing a villain and things like that, I'll never forget my sister saying, even the person, who did X, Y, and Z, someone loves them. Someone loves them. And forgive me if people are particularly religious or spiritual in a way that this is going to sound uncomfortable. Even when they pray, God, get me out of the situation, sometimes how the hell are they getting out of that situation? You know, you question so many things about how and why certain things happen. So it's to have a very simplistic understanding of how and why a person is a villain is not fair to that villain or the supposed villain. I could be a villain in someone's life.
Yeah, you know what you just made me think about? So as you were talking about even the Tsotsi, right? And I thought to myself, hey, can you imagine imagine a Tsotsi like breaking into your house and you hear them breaking and you're saying, please God, please God. Do you know that same Tsotsi is also saying, please God, can there be something inside of it?
That's
please, we're both praying to God.
Isn't that insane?
Right? I never thought of that ever, that sometimes that Tsotsi maybe is also like, please God, can no one be home? Or please God, can no one wake up? Or please God, can that money that we were told is in here be here? While you're saying, please God.
Absolutely. And by no means are we promoting the idea of saying that, you know, do something that's going to negatively affect someone's life and you're praying for it to manifest. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that for every single choice that is made, sometimes there's a deeper meaning or there's a deeper thing and there's a spirituality related to it. There's nothing that is just one linear understanding.
I love that. I need to go and meditate on some things after this conversation. I want to know what, you're a middle child, as I am a middle child, except I'm between two boys. You're between a boy and a girl. So your first daughter, middle child. What was growing up like for you? I mean, like, especially around the fact that we creatives are special, in inverted commas, and I mean that from the perspective of depending what type of creative you are, and considering as young black people, we didn't have many creative outlets. A lot of our behavior in a black home could be labeled as watella, you're disrespectful, and all of the ways that you can think of special. How did you grow up? What did that environment do to all these parts of yourself that you're still trying to figure out?
So, as a kid, I was very quiet. I was a bit of a wallflower.
You're still very quiet, man. Can we just address the fact that you're still very quiet?
I can be very loud around certain environments, but I think that I gravitate towards that. And similarly to how we were talking earlier about how the more comfortable you are in the space, the more colorful your personality can become and stuff like that. So, as a kid, very quiet, wallflowerish, and then a sister who's my younger sister, who was just a lot more boisterous, a lot more vocal, and a lot more daring with her thinking and stuff. And my brother, who also just kind of like, hey man, let's just do this thing called life, kind of like thing. And I did definitely feel like. It's funny because we're thick as thieves, the three of us.
Yes.
We get on so well, and we always say our personalities are so different, and it's because of our mother, how she brought us up, that we were molded to become a unit that we are.
That's why some people say when siblings don't get along, it is due to bad parenting. Like when siblings don't like each other and do not get along, like where the one feels like, well, you got everything. Even if one got everything and the other didn't, but if siblings have bad relationships, they say it's because of bad parenting.
I'm inclined to understand where that's coming from, but I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a little bit.
Yes.
Because I don't for a second think that being a parent, and I'm not one, I don't have a child, I don't for a single second think that it's an easy gig ever. I also think that people forget that you're a different parent to every child that you have. So sometimes a parent can just, again, do a blanket sense of, this is how I parent, no questions asked, and when we are Papa too much, I'm going to do this in this way. When Tule too much, I'm going to make you do that. When we are Vilap, I'm going to do this and that. But it almost seems like it's kind of like you're not attending to what the child's personality is. Rather, you're just doing a blanket statement of what it is.
You create a template.
Yeah, you create a template and you hope that it's going to be a template that's going to fit every single shoe size.
No, and the reality is, you are right. It's the hardest gig in the world. And I have a lot of sympathy for my own parents, because half the time you don't know what you're doing. We're winging it. It is the biggest improv gig where even yesterday, something that you're like, okay, we're doing this. I mean, I'm currently trying to get baby boy out of the bed. But I had to come to the realization that I actually am sad that he's transitioning into a new stage. He's been out the bed before in his own room. He came back, but now he can talk and say, Mommy, I want to cuddle and this. It's you just never, hard gig. Did you intentionally decide about your parent status, or is it something that just didn't happen? Like, are you child-free or childless?
I think it's a combination of both. One thing that I know is that I, unlike some people who are parents and they just waited for this to happen all their lives, is that it was never something that was that pressing. That's what I know.
Yes.
There's some people who are just like, I just want to be a mom, man. I just want to be a mom. I guess I just always had a different interpretation of what being a parent is. And so that's why I say I think it's a bit of both.
You know, that's one of the things that gets searched about you online. It's if you're a mother. So you've clarified, like, I'm not a mom. Tough gig, respect to yours.
Much respect.
Would you still want to be a mom if the opportunity presented itself?
I think that if I am to be, then I shall be.
If it's meant to be?
Yes.
Okay. But it's not something that you're, like, actively trying to be like, I need to do this thing.
It's nothing that I'm kind of thinking, if it doesn't happen in my life, then there's a void.
Yeah.
At the same time, how can you have a void for something that you don't know? So
I'm thinking about the fact that, and it's weird that you said, how can I have a void for something that I don't know? I don't know how to be a billionaire, but I have a void. I really do. There's a void. I've never had a billion, and I'm speaking USD billionaire. Funny. But I need it. Please share with me some insights here. I have a void.
Listen, I'll be your best friend on that day. So we'll ride off into the sunset. We'll figure out life as billionaires.
What is the reason that, and I don't know if it's intentional, as in like you were very intentional in saying I will never discuss my private life in terms of who I'm dating, or it's something that just happened naturally? Was it something you were intentional about with regards to your career?
That's definitely more intentional.
Please tell me how that came about. Was it something you experienced, or were you always like, I'm about the work?
I'll take it back to many, many years when I had a conversation and I was talking about gushing about my nephew, say.
Yeah.
And he was the firstborn in this little family of mine. And then I was asked a question of, did you ask for the permission? And I was like, I didn't even speak to his parents to see if they're okay with me talking about their child. Oh. I was like, we have to be a little bit more mindful of the people that we're talking about that have got nothing to do with the work that we do. Because I wake up to go to work before anything else.
Yes.
And then just also, it feels like it's mine. My relationships are mine.
Ooh, she said,
I ship. And then for whatever the circumstances of past, present, and future.
I got you. I thought you were saying like my 3 boyfriends are mine to talk about.
Just one.
Oh, so
then I'll talk to the other one, and I'll say, no, yeah.
I got you. Look, I say respect to that because I think it's protected you in many ways. Just in terms of you don't really now have to address issues that you didn't invite the world into to begin with.
Yeah, and the other thing about it as well is that when you invite someone to know something that's that intimate about you, if something happens in that, you can't chase them out now because you opened the door. Can you? Do they want to leave? You said come in and see this. When they say, what happened to it?
So how do you feel when you see public relationships that are being put out there, and could be local or international, and then they say, you know, we're breaking up, please respect our privacy? Do you see that as, while you introduced us to even you didn't respect your own privacy, or do you see that as, this is why I don't do this?
I don't want to blame them and say, well, you let them in.
Yeah.
I'm talking for myself. Yeah. If I open the door, I must know what I'm opening the door for. Yeah. But for someone who has opened the door, then I don't blame you if you say, please respect my privacy, because where you were at that moment in time, you know, was where you were at, and now you're in a space that's different now. Yes. Yeah, I think I answered that.
No, you did. I get it completely. How do you then deal with intimate scenes? How do you deal with intimate scenes and switching that off, and the dynamics that come with being intimate in real life while being intimate on camera?
I love it because I'm scripted to say that I love you, or to have this giddy feeling about you. Yes. I'm scripted to. I met you in a reading, or I auditioned opposite you. They felt that there was an energy, and people who are responsible for paying us at the end of the day are going to say, right, you two are going to be lovers or whatever. It's fabricated.
Yes.
And if you keep in mind that it's fabricated, I think you can go a long way. The minute you start to say, sure, wow, this and that, but they're really this. And that's not to say they're not all of those wonderful things. It's very easy to find, did an acting thing where, an acting workshop where they said, at the end of the day, it's a man. So you can't look and say they're not attractive for these and these and these reasons. And as a man, you can't say they're not attractive for these and these reasons and stuff like that. And now you're forced into an environment where you have to engage with each other in that sense. That's not to say you can't see it.
Yes.
That you have to consciously say, but it's work at the end of the day. Because you get into it, fine, great, and all's well in the world if you both are consenting and, you know, your worlds allow it to work in the way that you are allowing it to work. Once the script is done, you can't coach a person to be the person that you thought that you were falling in love with on that paper either.
No, I get you. One of my favorite movies is Love Actually. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes.
So, you know the 2 porn star characters.
Haven't seen it in a long time.
So there's the characters that are British who are stand-ins. And they are the body doubles,
yes,
right?
Yes,
and the first time we meet them, the director's blocking. And so blocking is the director showing you where to stand and for what camera angles. I need to remember the terminology is not common. So the director's blocking, they're testing lights. And in that scene, you know, the first time they quickly meet and then they're literally doing the gyrating movements. And, you know, you can see, and then at some point, he's like, please hold her boobs now. And he's like, sorry, my hands are cold. You know, but then something blossoms, right? And I am thinking about how in some spaces that could happen, but it's never happened for me and it's never happened for you at all. You've never ever worked across an actor that you're like,
I've worked with actors where I felt giddy, And I enjoyed looking forward to seeing them at work. Because I'm like, oh, I have felt that. But I've also understood that there's a fair amount of it that's manufactured. Because if I'm not having a scene where we're kissing, I don't necessarily feel those senses about you.
Yeah.
But the minute I know that there's going to be an intimate scene, I'm like, oh, gosh, oh. I can feel that way.
Okay.
I can. But it's almost also in preparation of what it is that you're going to go to work to do on that day. If you're just neutral to a person, then there's no such thing as they often say in television and film, chemistry. That chemistry has to come from somewhere.
There's something we don't do on this show at all, which is like put inserts of things. But for this specific question, we're going to put an insert here. Please tell, especially the young people, what is the Cleo wig? Please tell him, what is the... We have to put a reference shot, but we're going to put it there. What is the Cleo wig? You need to give the background information.
So there I was, wet behind the ears, starting out on television, not knowing what from what, and I then find myself in Generations.
Yes.
And it was my first television work.
Yes.
And there was this brilliant stylist.
Wait, what year was this?
This was 2004.
Okay, 2004.
Yes. There are people who are almost adults who were not even around when this wig was making us fame. And there was this lovely hairstylist whose hands were just, he had the Midas touch. He could make anything and everything just work beautifully on a person. So he then popped this wig onto me and off I go. And it became all the rage where it didn't matter whether I was down in Durban at home or up here in Joburg, but there was the Cleo wig that everyone was very keen on sporting post that. But yeah, I guess Generations was the biggest platform at the, it still is. It holds a very high market share of television and viewership and stuff.
Do you miss Soapie life? And I so that I'm clear, the difference between doing drama series, doing certain projects is that they have an end life, whereas Soapie life is an everyday machine, and it's usually quite long-term when you are a lead, which you did on Generations, not The Legacy, and you did at ECDMO.
So for actors in South Africa in particular, there are people who are theatre actors and that's it. They have no interest in going into film, no interest in going to television. They're just theatre actors and they're more than content to stay in that arena. Then there are people who have done all the different disciplines and stuff. I'm very fortunate to have done all the disciplines. And the one thing that I can say about having worked on soaps was that it became more of, there were several things that it served. You had a sense of familiarity with the people that you were around, as opposed to the fast, you start friendships and 13 weeks if you're lucky later. When I say lucky, the duration of shoot is 13 weeks for a drama series. That's finished, and then as quickly as those relationships started, so too do they end. So there's constant, it's almost like such constant whiplash in so many ways. Where
it's very intense.
Just as you're getting the momentum, then boom, it comes to an end, So that's but with soapies, you had the opportunity to linger longer with people, get to know people. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad to get to know some people, but sometimes it's the best thing that can happen to you. So from that perspective, there is sadness in not, having engaged in as many. And then the other one is the stability factor. We can't run away from that as actors. I mean, the work that we do is feast or famine. I think it was Emma Thompson who once said that. I loved it when I heard it. Feast or famine. When you're gainfully employed, happy day, life is possible. And then when you're going through the dry months and it's now famine, how do you navigate your life through that? And it kind of makes you so conscious of how the spectrum of this industry works when you've done all the different types of work. And so the stability factor is always a bonus when you're working on a soap. The thing that I think I hunger more for, not that I don't want stability, please don't get me wrong. The thing that I hunger for, the reason why I got into this industry in the first place, is exploring varieties of personalities. And that you don't necessarily get the opportunity to do when you're doing a soap opera.
But what I do like, though, about what you've experienced in your career is that you were able to have a character from being on a soapie long term that was put through the mill, and you were a junkie in some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know why I have a vision in my head of you. You did get to have those moments.
Yeah.
How involved were you in where your characters would be going sometimes? Because I do know actors who would want to spend time with writers and share ideas. Are you the type of actor who would allow whatever happens to your character happen to you, or are you very active in wanting to participate in the direction of your character?
I would say that I'm a bit of both. I want to trust that what it is that has been sat in a writer's room and has come to a decision is something that has been well thought through and crafted, because they are creatives.
Yes.
What we say is what they've come up with. It all starts with the word, and by the success of what it is that they've written, so too do ours reflect. We are a wonderful vessel that brings to life what they've written. So there's times where I look at it and I'm like, wow, this material is so impeccable. I don't even know if I can rise to the occasion to bringing it to life, And then there are times that you look at it and it's harder to process because of different things. It could be, I can't understand how my character has gone from a very different version of themselves at the start of a journey to being this version. And that's not to say people don't evolve and change, but it is to say that when you don't understand or recognize your character, then it becomes difficult to know how to play your character. That's why writers have got character Bibles. That's why, with good head writers, you know that you are maintaining the integrity of specific characters and things like that. So there is a lot of responsibility, I think, from both sides to kind of like make sense of those things. And if it does feel wobbly, and I know that, say, for example, with soap, you're writing so far ahead of time. 3 months sometimes ahead of time. But now you're looking at a wobble.
When you receive your script, they are so far in to the storyline that it's not like you can make adjustments when you are seeing what's happening. Yes.
So I respect the timing of that process, but if I don't vocalize where I'm having challenges, then how am I going to bring this person to life?
How did you manage? You and I will be familiar with something that happens in Soapie world in particular, that if they're starting to write your character out, producers are mindful about how they tell an actor, because sometimes characters will find out the day that they get there. That's their last day. Sometimes and producers will sort of be like, yeah, because in the past a person would know their character's basically coming to an end or going to get killed, and then they behave a certain way or become difficult to work with. Others will work together with you to get your character going out. What has your experience been, and how have you handled your long-term characters coming to an end? When I did a stint on Isidingo, I knew how long the period was that it was happening, and I was excited to do my death scene. Like, it was my last day doing that particular scene, being bombed as the mayor. But I also know that some actors have had horrible experiences where producers didn't deal with it great in like allowing a person an opportunity to plan their finances, to know what's going to happen with them. Where you get to work, you're like, how casual today.
I've seen it happen in different ways when one leaves a show. I've seen it happen in many different ways. I've experienced it in different ways. There have been instances where you get a grace period of those, because as an actor, you can also leave. So you've got a grace period. You give them a grace period of, I think, 12 weeks. 12 to 14 weeks, I can't remember exactly.
About three months, so that they have an opportunity to write a character out.
Yes. Yeah. So I've had, from their side, giving me the grace period to say, this is what is going to happen, and then you kind of like you're mindful of it, and then you can carry on with your life and finish the character with grace, I hope.
Yes.
And then there have been instances where it's just like literally watching dead end, and that's the end of a character.
And there was a character on Generations, Muvango. I can't remember, one of the soapies. The way the guy was written out is that he said he's going to the toilet and he just never came back. Oh, sorry, we should not be laughing, but I do know there's a character that's how he was written out. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because he was difficult to work with or what, but he literally said, that
was it. Oh my.
Sorry, it's such a terrible thing. Because I'm laughing at the fact that it's funny, haha, but it's also not funny at all. So,
because there's so much machinery at the back that people don't see. For all that people see, it's just that he went to the loo and he never came back.
No, but the worst is people didn't notice for a while.
And then all of a sudden, it's like,
this guy is
Konje, when was the last time we saw him? Konje, oh yeah, he did say he was going to the bathroom. And that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gee whiz. I think that regardless of how it happens, try to carry yourself with as much grace as possible. No matter how angry you are, no matter how, and living is learning. And in instances where it felt like it wasn't kind, find a way to deal with the fact that it wasn't kind. Because at the end of the day, unlike people who work in corporate, who can get warnings and can get this, and there's fair dismissal in corporate. You know why you're leaving in corporate. It's not personality conflicts. So much so I'll go so far as to say, why are we bringing personality conflicts into our industry sometimes? Why do we let certain choices and ways that maybe not work for you, but you hold power, and therefore you by choosing a certain, why are we bringing personal conflicts into the equation? But where you can be about the work and you can be kind, life will hopefully carry on just fine.
You had a series on E that got cancelled. How were the news broken to you, and how did you deal with that? And it's not abnormal for things to get cancelled, but sometimes I know the reporting is cancelled when people are like, no, it was just that was the contract, or it was that things were not getting renewed anyways.
Every year, with every show, there's a possibility of renewal and there's a possibility of no renewal. That's something that people don't necessarily talk about. Contracts are signed annually for the better part. And in this instance, we were given a grace period, again, to be told the show's ending at the end of this season. They aren't going to be renewing it, and that was that. Yeah.
It's something you're familiar with and comfortable with anyways.
It's something that I'm familiar with. Yeah. 20 odd years doing it, you kind of get a sense of like, how to find your feet all over again. You know?
Yeah, I'm remembering just with, I don't miss that part of the instability of being an actor only. And I obviously feel for all my fellow colleagues because it's so seasonal. I wanted to take a moment to firstly say thank you for coming to SAFTAs and agreeing.
Thank you for inviting me.
And how I wanted to just know what that experience was like for you, because you are a winner from previously, but now you were coming as a character with a fellow legal character, Sandra Stain, everywhere on, the record-breaking character that has been on multiple shows in the country. And I just remember being with the team saying, we need to get Linda in because it's such an ode to an era of a series that you were on. What was the experience like for you?
On the night, Shannon and I were quaking in our boots. We were so nervous.
What? Is it because you guys are both shy?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And it's so much easier because I think as much as we were, talking on behalf of, in some ways, of characters that we've played that are legal eagles, but at the same time, it felt like, it's you presenting.
Yes.
And now it's not, you're not hiding behind a character per se. Now it's you.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't like doing public speaking. I don't like... I mean, this is public speaking for all intents and purpose, but I'm hiding in a studio right now.
Yes.
So
you don't have to see the people.
I don't have to see the people.
What are your feelings about social media and where it is right now? I know earlier we were reflecting about how earlier on in our careers, you are so disconnected from how many followers or fans you have. And now that becomes such a real element in the work that we're doing. Because it was, I don't know, there's something, what is the word that I'm looking for? There's something just so beautiful about the fact that, even now we're sitting with cameras, and when you're on set, you are completely disconnected from the impact that you have. There's a certain mystery. And maybe from you being on Soapie fame, you did get to have certain interactions that made you realize, okay, I'm famous, people know who I am. Versus now, you can count. You actually, your apps tell you how many people are following you. And they say you're popular, you're not popular. How have you been engaging in that space?
It's such an interesting thing, social media, for me. There are times I will deliberately look for an actor I have such great respect for, just to see, and then I'll see that they've got less followers than a person who's an influencer.
Yes.
And that's not to say that the influencer, based on doing influencing work, should not have the followers that they have. And that's not to say that the actor shouldn't have the followers that they have. For me, it says that it's two completely different jobs.
Yeah.
And because it's two completely different jobs, the one somehow is blending into the other. And that's why I don't necessarily understand it. Because when I'm quietly in my house, sitting there looking at lines and trying to be earnestly focusing on what a character's needs are, or it's 1:30 and I'm like, I got it, that's what it is. And then I scribble it down because I'm constantly playing out in my head what my craft is asking of me. And then I walk over, and then social media says that my relevance should be X number. And then there's a person who's got a different tier by 15,000 upper tiers at 100,000 at a time, kind of thing. It's two different things that have now somehow been forced to be made to look like one. And there are people who navigate it so seamlessly, and I have such respect for what they're able to do. And sometimes it's not for other people. And I think it's unfortunate when a person who cares about a craft but doesn't have the propensity to outrightly advertise life is then seen as a lesser artist because they're not willing to do exposés. I think it's sad. There are people who can balance it really beautifully, and well done to them. There are people who don't know where to start because their personality, their being, their soul just doesn't resonate. So and it's never been proven, by the way, that, because you've got 15 million followers, therefore you're going to make the show popular. It's never been proven to be a success, say for example. But when a person has got a higher ranking in influence and marketing versus a person who's got a skill in a craft, and they're being pitted against each other for what this one actually understands as the lifeblood, and they fall short, I think that's it.
Do you know how I always remind myself to give myself perspective? Because obviously I'm in a space where social media, digital is so important. I mean, this platform is digital. But the way I make myself feel better is I'll always look at like a Denzel Washington, a Meryl Streep, and be like, they have never needed to ever be out there to book a thing. And I don't know if that's a once-off or that's like a standard thing. There are some people that are being successful without needing to do that. But at the same time, that's Hollywood. And the money they make is not the same as the money we make here.
And then, with that said, what generation do they come from where they were only relying on their skill? If we could make an example of a contemporary actor who can become as successful as a Meryl Streep or a Denzel Washington, that'll be amazing. Based purely on their talent.
Is it something you would explore because of diversifying maybe your income streams?
Social media?
Yes.
What do you mean?
I know the answer is no, because I know it's so not your personality. It's not your thing. In terms of like doing the whole, hey guys, get ready with me as I go to say. I know that's not your thing, but is it something you would consider? That was such a deep sigh. It was very deep.
I think I'm so preoccupied with my lads that I can't imagine saying, I'm on the set and there's nothing wrong with doing that. Please don't get me wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. Everything's a double-edged sword, and I'm not being dramatic. Please forgive me, because in the same token, I think that there are so many people who are hungry for an opportunity. And the funny thing about it as well is that you think that that's what it's supposed to look like because someone's advertising that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like that all the time. It's a moment in time that matters to the person who's posting it primarily.
How do you deal with your famine moments? You spoke about famine or feast. And I think South Africans are starting to become very aware of the fact that we aren't balling as personalities or public figures. We aren't balling like that. How have you navigated that space? Like, are you the type of person who's like, I've always been saving, I've always been good with my money, I've never had to, move back home? Or are you a person who's like, ma'am, even now I'm counting my cents, for, like, how do you deal with that? Because also finances are such a relevant, with everything that's happening with our economy, and it's a worldwide issue. How have you navigated it?
I don't know. By the grace of God. By the grace of God and the looking after by my ancestors. I've seen it. There've been phases, right, where you look at your career and you're like, I might have been doing this for X number of years, but in total, maybe I've only really worked for 50% of this number of years, if I look at it holistically.
You're making me now be like, can you say in the game for 20 years if you only worked 10 of them?
That's a good question, right? That's a good question. If you, cumulatively, if you take all of the jobs that you were doing, put them all together, and then for the rest of the time, it's like 50-50, it's very possible for a person to have to live like that. I see myself living like that. How do I cope with the famine?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've coped with it differently over the years. I think that it's so easy to think that you're in a Ferrari. I'm using this as a metaphor. You think you're cruising now, and then breaks down on the highway. You what's the Autobahn?
Yes.
And you're doing
in Germany.
Yeah, and you're doing like what, 200, 250 down the Autobahn. That's what life feels like. You're cruising, and then your Ferrari breaks down. So you realize that everyone was cheering for your Ferrari, or at least that's what it seems. But no one's helping you to figure out what's broken. But then you have to walk to the next point to figure out how to make this car move again. And maybe you're lucky and it's just water. So you quickly put some water in and off you go all over again, because it's nice on the Autobahn. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's an oil leak. And now it's like, again, all those that were looking and saying, wow, wonderful, they're not there to help you figure out whether it's an oil leak or something else. So if I'm going to relate it to life, I'm basically saying that you have to get to grips with the fact that it can feel really nice and it can feel really horrible. You have to get to grips with the fact that you have to find a way of helping to therapeutic your brain, if there's such a word, so that you can understand that sometimes it's not you. Sometimes the scripts just don't align with you. It's not your season, or this phase isn't working for you. Maybe it is you. Maybe you need to look internally and see what it's all about. But most importantly, find something that is actually going to get you up and going. Because when you stop getting up and going, you can spiral in a very negative direction. Artists, Artists are not artists by mistake. I think that we've got very... I can't speak and say what a person who's corporate thinks like. It could be exactly the same as an artist. It's just a lot more linear. We're not linear. We feel, we tactile. And so as a result, find something that is going to be positively affecting your life in the quiet time, because it's very easy to lean towards something that's destructive, because you're yearning for something to make you feel okay. I still need to share something with you that I think I saw it yesterday or day before on TikTok, and I found it so powerful. So this woman says, when you are asking yourself, as a creative, when you're asking yourself, like, when you feel like you're stuck in a rut, or like you feel frustrated and you have like internal turmoil, or you find yourself in a bad relationship, it's all because you're creative who is not creating. And I thought it was such a powerful thing that she said, which was that when you sometimes you even think you are depressed, but the reason for your depression is because you're creative who is not creating. And I wonder if you've ever found yourself in those spaces where, because the famine seasons sometimes are not financial famine, they are creative famine, and what you do about it. Because you are when I think of you, I don't just think actress or public figure. I'm like, that is a thespian.
That is a person who grinds, and in the way of how we are theatre trained, you live and breathe your characters when you do the way you've expressed. Even now that you are constantly asking yourself questions to get to know this character better, to understand all of these things. And there are many actors who aren't a traditional actor, an old school actor in the way that I see you and just respect your craft. But I wonder how that resonates with you, the part of the frustrations of life. Like, she even went as far as saying, and if I find the video again, I will put the link down below. She even went as far as saying that sometimes you think you're attached to someone, and the issue is, as in like a toxic relationship, but it's not that you think you're attached to this person or like you need this person, but the issue is actually that you're not creating. That had you been creating, whatever it is you think you're feeling would not be there. I want to know your thoughts on that.
I might not answer your question directly, but I'll start by saying that I feel like our work is from one project to another. We are in relationships with our work, and sometimes it is a beautiful lover, and sometimes it's an abusive lover. When it's a beautiful lover, it feeds you. You feel healthy. You bouncing off walls and with joy and the like. And sometimes if it's a toxic relationship, it's like, what have I done? Who am I? Why is this not working in my favor? It's a relationship. It can either be a functional relationship or it can be a dysfunctional relationship. The common factor in all of them is you. And if you are in a relationship that is not making sense to you as a person now, not as a creative, then you must ask yourself why you're still there. Similarly, as a creative, if you're in an environment that's not feeding you creatively and you feel like it's a famine of creativity, ask yourself, why am I still there? Find out, again, go back to self and see what it is that is either making this Ferrari run or breaking it down.
You mentioned, yes, sorry, you were saying?
No.
You mentioned grace of God, you mentioned ancestors, and you have crystals. Do you consider yourself a Christian? Like, how do you see yourself? And the reason I ask this is because I also struggle with certain labels. I mean, my listeners on radio, some of them fight with me sometimes, where like I'll interview someone and I'll be fascinated with Reiki, or I'll be fascinated and they're like, I thought you were a child of God. You are entertaining Dilotse. Or I'll speak about recognizing those that walked before me and walk beside me, and they're like, how? So I'm curious as to how you label yourself and what you see for yourself in this spiritual realm.
I am a child of God, am I not? I am, as are those who came before me. So, as children of God, I have an appreciation in acknowledging that those that came before me. And I feel that they are there with me still. Does that make sense?
No, completely, because I also acknowledge those. I guess I'm putting the part forward where, for example, people say, it's ancestral worship, and the Bible says.
Yeah, it's a very difficult, this part is walking on very, very interesting terrain here. Because
and don't be PC about it.
I will do my best to not be. I can so see people saying things about this. I am fascinated by the concept of saints who lived and walked this earth, and someone said that they were good, and therefore they can channel our prayers to God.
Like Archangel Michael,
like Saint Teresa, like yes. Saint Michael, Saint Banman. you know. Spanman, please don't get me wrong, people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm fascinated by that concept that when specific people can tell you that these people were righteous enough to become a saint, they can be spoken to.
I get you.
But when the people that are responsible for my heritage and my line, I speak to them, that's a problem. I find that contradictory. Does that answer your question?
No, I'm answered. I'm answered, and
And I'm sure someone is going to tell me why someone who was not born in this country or wrote a book that, and I follow that book, I do.
The book being the Bible?
Yes, I do follow it. Someone who reads that book can then take great offense in me saying, but someone sat in a room and decided that someone is okay to be prayed for, you know, considered to be worthy of being.
I think you worded it well with what you're saying, because I've never heard that perspective of the part of the saints. I have heard people say, why is the only ancestor that the Bible recognizes that you can talk to God through Jesus, but the other ancestors cannot be recognized or spoken to or spoken through? The way I've always seen it is, when a person dies, they leave the physical realm and you become spirits. And the way I see it for myself is that they are angels, they are helpers, and they are here to guide. I don't see them in conflict with God. I see them as God's helpers. But that's my own personal thing, yeah.
I saw this really, really cute thing on social media.
Yes.
Someone was talking about a child in the womb. And they were saying how the child this is all they know. It's comfort, it's warm, it's this. And they're twins, I think.
I know the story. That's why I'm smiling so much.
Oh,
yes.
it's so cute though.
Salad, yes.
And the one is like, oh, I'm content here. I don't want to leave. This is it. And the other one's like, but how do you know what's going on the other side? It's like, no, this is where it begins and ends.
Oh, as in after birth.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is where it begins and ends. I mean, like, what even makes you think there's something on the other side? You complete here. This is how you see your consciousness. You're here. So that's probably how we also, you know, move on as spiritual beings, which we all are. If we all comply to the concept of mind, body, and soul, is that this is what we know now. But when you move on to the next phase, that's something else. So from a child being born, they thought that the world began and ended
in the womb.
And we think that the world begins and ends in the here and now. But yeah,
there's an after. Final question. People that you've worked closely with, peers, one close friend that you and I share, Jamie Bartlett, may his soul rest in peace. People like Bradon and so many others. How do you deal with loss and grief? And it doesn't even have to be necessarily colleagues, it could also be in your personal life.
I have been visited by loss with several people in the last couple of months, and I don't think that there's a formula. There's no formula. I think the only thing that you can do is acknowledge that they mattered and matter. They left an imprint that cannot be replaced by any other person. So one of the people that I've just lost recently is my father. So to go through the thought of, and I remember this happening when my mom passed away, where I was like, I'm actually breathing for the first time without my mother breathing the same air. I know it sounds weird,
No, not at all.
But it's like my existence, my ability to stay alive. I'm doing this, and the person who brought me into this world is no longer doing it. It just felt weird. That was just me, the concept of umoya and stuff. And I thought about it again with my father, and then all of the people that you've just counted, it's never easy to have someone leave. It's never, ever easy. And the number of conversations that you will inevitably go through with them in your head that you will never have with them. But yeah, man, I don't even know what to say about it. I think I'm still in the process of figuring the one that I've just told you about now. But you get up and there's something to do and you carry on.
May both your parents' souls rest in peace, and condolences on losing your father.
Thank you.
I just wanted to share a memory, so we're not ending on a somber note. The memory was, do you remember Jamie had a party at his house? And Tati Moshesh was there. Yes. There's a few people on this. You remember that?
Sheila was there. Who's wardrobe?
Wardrobe for Shaga 11.
Yes.
And I remember a day where, I don't know if we bumped into you, but Jamie and I were meeting in Norwood.
And
Shawarma Company.
Yes.
And we were having some nasty conversations. Yo, guys, if ever we were to tell. But you remember those things?
Yes, I do.
Oh, man.
Yes,
I just wanted to be like, I remember having that spontaneous meet with you.
Absolutely. And honestly, Jamie, one of the things about that human was that he was just, in so many instances, he lived here. Like, he felt life. He was like literally like doing this. He felt it. He was here. That's how it felt.
The only thing I would say to Jamie, please stop doing this. When fans greeted us, Jamie would let fans kiss him on the lips. Oh my gosh. It was pre-COVID, but he was that loving of he kissed fans.
My gosh.
He let fans kiss him on the lips.
Absolutely. He would walk into the kitchen to see what the sisters are doing. They're preparing the food. Tell any woman and every woman, which was so beautiful, oh, you're so gorgeous. Your boyfriend must be so lucky. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He just had a zest for life.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking. I know you don't do interviews like that. and I'm just so appreciative of just how you continue to carry yourself and just be so consistent. And I love your work. I just absolutely love and respect you as a person, and I just appreciate you making time for us.
I thank you for inviting me, because I too respect your work. I respect you as a person. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have quickly said yes. And I said yes the minute I saw it. So thank you for the invitation.
And thank you guys for tuning in and watching this episode. Put your questions down below. Maybe I'll convince Linda to respond to some of them. And of course, don't forget, also comment on who else you'd like to see on the show. Who did you say? Who did you decide? 3 names. In 3, 2, 1, 3 names. Go.
I think that Homoso Christopher would be an amazingly interesting person to talk to.
Yes.
I think that Lerato Mvelase would be an amazing person to talk to. I think that, oh my gosh, now you've got me.
One more.
I think they're not in the spotlight, but they are just so interesting, and they're one of my best friends. Bongi Ndaba, who's a writer.
Ooh.
I think the mind of a writer is a very interesting one.
Okay. Okay, we got our answers. Comment down below. Let us know who you want to see. Don't forget to follow us at Relebogile Pod on all of the socials. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Till next time.